We welcome our viewers here in Nigeria and around the world. It's a brand new year, 2017, and we're kicking off with this holiday edition of Business Morning with me, boason omofaye. This is the state of the nation, focus on the economy, business, and the society. Let's step back to December 31st, 2015, when Nigeria's newly elected president, Muhammadu Buhari, presented his first State of the Nation message. Right in paragraph 1, and in the second sentence, President Buhari says, and I quote, "I am aware that Nigerians have experienced a number of significant hardships over the past months. Living in the State House has not alienated me from your daily sufferings." He went on to say that I am aware of the lengthy queues at the fuel stations and of the difficulties businesses have faced in acquiring foreign exchange, end of quote. That was an enduring and touching socio-economic message to many Nigerians as 2016 was ushered in. Now, fast-track some 365 days after, 2 days ago, in a New Year message to estimated 180 million Nigerians, President Buhari started by saying, quote, "I felicitate with you today at a time when our nation is witnessing a new and impressive turnaround in our security and socio-economic situation." Now, as for the socio-economic sufferings of Nigerians, the president's speechwriters places that at the last paragraph, saying, quote, "I assure you again that the current pains are temporary and will ease when the economic seeds in gestation begin to bloom to fruition. I urge you to continue to support this administration in its efforts to transform Nigeria for the good of all." End of quote. Now let's get the show started. Welcome our guests for this special edition of Business Morning. Bismarck Rewani, economist and chief executive officer at Financial Derivatives Company. Good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Happy New Year.
Thank you very much. Let's begin with the road to January 1, 2016. What was the state of the nation as at December 25 when the year was being wrapped up in that president's message?
In 2016?
In 2015, the road.
Oh, the road. Actually, let's put it this way. We did not know what was going to happen in 2016. We had all our forecasts, but 5 imponderables or most unlikely developments in 2016. Number 1 was that Leicester would win the Premier League. 2 was that Britain will exit the European Union. 3, that was Trump was going to be out. 4 was that the Naira was going to test 500 Naira. And 5, that George Michael, who wrote 2 Christmas songs, who died on Christmas Day. Those were the 5 most unlikely developments. But it happened. One of them happens to be that the fact that the Naira would test 500 Naira in the parallel market in 2016.
Now, if you look at the road to 2016,
yes,
when the president wrote that New Year message, when he was talking about the number of significant hardships Nigerians were going to,
yes,
then he was alluding to 2015. We had the elections and we had a few other things. The budget hasn't really been passed by then, even though he presented it to the National Assembly, as well as the cabinet delay. Do you think these were enough for the president to have spoken the way he spoke in 2016 New Year message?
I think the president was optimistic and he was confident that the desired outcomes will be accomplished. However, the reality is that wrong timing, wrong implementation, no feedback, wrong monitoring has led to undesired and unintended consequences, which included. Now, let us go back to the reality, and that's how we summarized the old great expectations of 2017. 2016, there was nothing to cheer, and 2017, there's much to fear.
Let's go back a little bit, and perhaps it's time to do a bit of a look back. And again, the president was just about 6 months in office,
yes,
as of January last year. So of January the 1st, when he gave the message, it was about 6 months in office, or 7 months in office, technically speaking. So did you believe that, yes, he had his hands on everything, as it were, for that message just to encourage Nigerians and say, look, right from the onset, I feel your pains, I know what you're going through, the fuel queues at the petrol stations?
That was the right message. That was the right message. But then we have to go back and say, the message was one thing, the feelings were one thing, the intentions were there. And the Nigerian people trusted the president. That is why even when...
On that message,
yes,
of January 1, 2016?
January 1. And so when you increase the price of petrol on May 15 from 87 Naira to 145 or 146 Naira, There was no rancor. There was no strike because the people were tired of suffering. The effective price of petrol, even though it was 87 naira, the effective price was far in excess of 140 naira. And today, if you say the price is 140, NBS has data to show that the average price of petrol today is about 147, 148 naira. The difference between the official effective price and nominal price was marginal. And that was a great achievement. On the other hand, there are other areas that need to be looked at.
Did you think the Buhari's administration actually do much in 2015?
What, 2016.
2015, which was the template for 2016. In the first 7 months of the administration.
2015 there was a transition. The transition committee put all, they did a lot of work. The president was looking through what they call a minefield, right? And was trying to figure out exactly what the problem was, because the handing over was a bit curious, to put it mildly. However, the Nigerian public today is not interested in what happened in 2015. What the Nigerian public wants to know is what is going to happen in 2017. There were promises in 2016, and so we need to analyze what happened in 2016. Then we see what is likely to happen in 2017, because the pain is excruciating. People want some hope.
Let me remind you here, in paragraph 3 of President Buhari's message of 2016,
yes,
December 31st, 2015, and this is what he says in paragraph 3, part of it, he says, he said, in the past 7 months since our inauguration on May 29, 2015, my administration has focused on laying the right foundation, yes, for the change you voted for during our historic presidential election. Nigerians will in due course begin to enjoy the fruits of all our ongoing work. This was optimistic of the president at that time. He believed that this first 7 months, some work were being done.
Yes, it's true. In the 7 months in question, we got our power up to 5,000 megawatts. Now it's down. There was enthusiasm, and people gave, that was a honeymoon period. But the hard work has started. But you must know that in 2016, this is the lowest point of African growth in 22 years. The rest of the world, there's so many changes that were unanticipated. And therefore, the inability of the Nigerian policymaker to be versatile, to respond quickly, to do the right thing at the right time, the right dose, is what has got us to where we are. So right now, governments are expectant, that is, local government, state governments, and federal government are expectant, hoping that things will change. The Nigerian investor is shortchanged, because even though you say you're getting foreign exchange at 305, it's not there at 305. That's a joke. Now, thirdly, the Nigerian consumer feels raped. And that's the truth. The Nigerian consumer and employee was raped in 2016.
I'll go back to the president's 500 words about a speech of December 31st, 2015, which was 2016 message. And second to the last, yes, paragraph, the president says, quote here, there is much work to do in other areas as well, and I have charged all my ministers and other appointees to ensure that Nigerians experience positive changes in their lives in 2016.
Yes.
How did that work out?
Well, let's go to one of the slides, which we call Citizen X. In 2016, the elite, that's you and your colleagues here, the flight ticket to London on January 1st, 2016 was 180,000 naira return. Today it is 613,000, it's up 241%. 1 kilogram of chicken was 800 naira in January 2016. It is now 1,200 per kilogram of chicken, 50% up. If you send your kids to Corona School, which is an elite school in Lagos, it was 320,000 naira in January last year. It's 460. It's up 44% to 460,000 naira a term. And a liter of diesel in January 2016 was 160 naira. It is now 270 naira. More or less 250, 260, up 69%. That's if you're an elite. But if
this is the Citizen X, as you rightly put it. These are folks downtown.
Yes,
Lagos.
But
where you live?
Yeah,
well, okay, let's go to Citizen Y.
Well, Citizen Y, which
yes,
is the guy on the street. This guy went by air to Abuja. Return ticket to Abuja was 19,000 naira in January. It's now 35,000. It's up 84%.
Economic class, that is?
Yes, economic class
yes.
return. Indomie was 35 naira per sachet. In January 2016, it's now 60 naira per sachet, 71%. If you went by road from Lagos to Onitsha, it was 3,500 in January. It is now 5,557% up. Gala is the
snack
for everybody. Gala was 50 naira in January last year. It is 70 naira, is up 40%. And Gari was 9,500, is up 15,000 to 58%. This is the situation. That is the situation. Nigeria, for the first time in 25 years, went into recession. Oil prices were at a 13-year low. I want to differentiate things were outside our control because there are certain things the government had no control over. So, oil, 13-year low. Production went to 1.4 million barrels a day, down from 2 million barrels. Our target was 2.2 million barrels. We did certain things. On May 15th, we deregulated the petroleum prices, and that took away all the queues. The president talked about queues, and that's been solved. And we need to keep on top of that. On June 22nd, we introduced the flexible exchange rate policy. The policy, but the process itself has not what is not flexible. What you have is a managed fixed exchange rate, and that needs to be reformed. We'll come back to that. And of course, so many things happened. We have an exchange rate which has dropped to 4.95 in the private market, and we have aviation fuel kerosene down to 282 naira per liter. We have inflation at an 11-year high of 18.48%, and our external reserves were the lowest in 11 years, down. It was started the year at $29 billion, it's now at 25-point-something billion dollars. It recovered in the last couple of weeks, and that's it. So we have a tale of shocks and policy missteps and qualified implementation.
Did you think that some of the conclusions about 2016, that the seeds were actually sown in 2015?
Well, you see, the recessionary gap started in Nigeria as 2011, where your potential GDP was growing faster than your real GDP. The recessionary gap, the recession became manifest in 2016, where you had now 3 consecutive quarters of increasing negative growth.
May I coordinate? In other words, to put it mildly on the street, to the man on the street, recession don't happen overnight.
No, of course
yes
not.
Or no?
No, it didn't happen. But not only that, you had the symptoms of a recession coming, but also the economy was being pilloried. In the 2012 to 2013, 2014, there was a lot of corruption. So you were actually sucking blood out of a dying man, right? And so what happened was that that patient called Nigeria was hit by the combination of corruption, inefficiency, leakages, and now you had a change in government, and the new administration needed time to study, but what we didn't have time. The ailment doesn't care whether you need time or not. It just keeps on increasing. So that's where we are. In the year 2016, we had many companies all reporting losses due to exchange rate losses. Nestle, Lafarge, Glaxo, Cadbury, Guinness, all of them reporting sharply declining income, in some cases staggering losses as a result of exchange rate gains. So that is the true position.
We have quite a lot to chew as far as 2016 is concerned, and when we come back after the break, we'll take a look at 2 main pillars. First, what was achieved by the Buhari's administration vis-a-vis the new 2017 message when it says, I felicitate with you on security situation and the socio-economic foundation has been laid. And second, the key question, if all this had worked, why the economy still sucks? Hang on in there, Mr. Makrawani. We have him here for the next 45 minutes of the program. We'll be back after the break.